Today I'm doing a little swatcheroo and gonna be applying all of my Kaja eyeshadow trios and my Colourpop Super Shock shadows. I've made sure that every eyeshadow I show today is currently available for purchase. All of my beautiful blues and greens and silvers from Colourpop have been discontinued, so I did not apply those in this video. If you're new here, hey, I'm Kate. I like to look at beauty products through a somewhat critical lens, both to help you save money and also to help myself maintain a somewhat small collection for a YouTuber. So if that's your thing, keep on watching, and we're gonna start with Kaja. I'm gonna start with what's on my eyes. Oh no! I'm gonna start with what's on my eyes today because I love it. It's the shade Rosewater from Kaja. With a name like Rosewater, you would think they'd all be pink, but actually there's a cool variation here. As you can see in the swatches, the bottom shade is almost plummy purple, which makes it a perfect one and done eyeshadow. And then the middle shade has more of a sheer base with a lot of pink glitter, and the top shade is a glitter topper, the sheerest base of all of them, and it's just kind of like a white champagne glitter topper. As you can see in the application footage, I'm wearing all three layered on the lids today. I started with the bottom shade and really brought that up to the brow bone almost as a one and done shadow. So you can see it is glittery. I personally don't mind the look of glitter as a one and done eyeshadow. And then I popped on that pink shade on top. I didn't want it to be too icy, so I didn't go super heavy handed. I really wanted that plummy shadow to come through. And then I used the glitter topper just on the center of my eyelid to really add some more shine. And I think that the look ended up being way better than what I was expecting. I don't tend to reach for like plummy pink shades, but I'm absolutely hooked on this now. As for the Kaja formulas, there is a little bit of variation, so I will be reviewing each formula and each trio. For this one, all of the glitters are perfectly buttery smooth. I don't feel any grittiness. However, these do have a little bit of fallout, just so you know, as do all of the Kaja glitters, but it's really not that bad. Like, I don't even find that I have to do my eyes first. It's just I'll have to pick off some of the glitters after I do my makeup. Not that big of a deal, but I did just want to mention it. And all of the Kaja trios are $26, and since you get 3 eyeshadows, it comes out to like $8.67 per shadow. My other favorite shade is Chocolate Dahlia. I've been wearing this like a madman recently. It's so good. To me, the mattes are quite neutral, although they have a different palette that's called Neutral Moment with a bunch of brown mattes, and this one seems more neutral to me. What you get on the bottom is a beautiful neutral looking dark brown shadow, accompanied by a light brown that seems really neutral to me, and then a glitter topper that looks in the swatches like it has base pigment, but when it's on the eyes, you'll see it really is just like a shimmery champagne glitter topper. So in the application footage, I applied Chocolate Dahlia the way I do pretty much every day. I take the middle shade and I apply it all over the crease. I kind of wing it out to create the appearance of a more elongated eye, but then I take the bottom shade and I like to put that all over my bottom lash line to make my eyes look bigger. And then I top everything off with that beautiful glitter topper. And that's really where I think you can see things come alive. Chocolate Dahlia is the perfect trio for me when I want to do a bold lip, because it looks polished and it can look glam, but still really natural and neutral on me personally. As for the formula of Chocolate Dahlia, this is perfection. The mattes are so creamy and buttery. They're not dry, they're not patchy, they don't have really bad kickback. They perform better than a lot of luxury eyeshadow mattes I've tried, like the Charlotte Tilbury. And then the glitter topper on this one is really smooth and creamy, minimal fallout. This one is just, it's a dream. My next favorite Kaja trio is Glowing Guava, which is a really beautiful mix of plums and golds and peaches. The bottom shade is this rich, buttery matte burgundy shadow. The middle is actually a glitter that's kind of equal parts plum and gold. And then the top shadow is a matte, which I would describe as maybe like a light to medium mauve, almost like a cross between a peach and a mauve. It's a really interesting shade. And in the application footage, the way I applied this was by taking the top shade, which is that kind of peachy mauvey matte, and putting that all over the crease. Then I put the glitter shade all over the lid, which is kind of like a plummy gold. And I finished it off with the burgundy matte shadow on the bottom lash line. It's got like a little bit of mauviness to it, but it's also got a little pink, it's got a little brown, but it's not like too pink to the point where you're like, whoa, I'm wearing pink eyeshadow. It's just, it's really soft, really beautiful. And I like the formula of this one as well. The mattes in all of the Kaja trios are fantastic. All of them are buttery, so I don't need to keep repeating myself there. The glitter topper on this one, the middle shade is really smooth, really buttery. Like I said before, I do get a teensy bit of fallout with the glitters, but nothing that's too bad. Another fave from Kaja is Toasted Caramel. As the name suggests, it is warm and bronzy, and I love it. The bottom shade is a dark metallic with a sheer base, and lots of plummy pink glitter. The middle shade is like a medium warm gold with a very sheer base, so it ends up looking pretty flaky and more like a glitter topper on the eyes. If you look super closely at it, you can actually see lots of pink glitters in there, so I think it's really beautiful. And then the glitter topper is the sheerest base of all of them, and it's kind of like a yellow gold glitter topper. So I ended up really not liking the way this came out in my first application footage. As you can see here, I'm applying the bottom shade. It's a really beautiful, rich, toasty brown shade. This was my first time applying the middle shadow, and I was surprised to see how sheer the base was compared to all the other Kaja glitters that I had tried so far. So where I ended up going wrong here was I tried to layer the color a lot so that I could get more of that base pigment coming through, but really I think that this glitter is more so intended to be like a topper on top of the brown shadow. So then I didn't know what to do with the lightest shade. I put it in the inner corner. It's beautiful and reflective, but definitely much more of a glitter topper vibe. In my second application footage, I put together more of a cohesive look like I've done with the other trios. So I started with the bottom shadow, that rich brown, applied it to the lid and the crease and blended it out. Then I popped on the middle shadow, which is that gold kind of flaky foiled shade, and then put a little dot of the lightest shade on the center of my eyelid for more shine. And that's how I think this is used a lot better. Instead of thinking about these as like individual eyeshadows, I do think that they work together as a cohesive look, which I prefer in the first place. There are two Kaja trios that I don't really love just because they're all mattes, and two of the shadows in them I would never use. The first is Neutral Moment, and the funny thing about this one is I don't really feel like it's all that neutral. Chocolate Dahlia felt more neutral to me. If you look at the bottom shadow, that one does look like a neutral dark brown, although maybe leaning a little bit more cool toned brown. And then the middle shadow, which is a matte, seems to me to pull a pretty yellow on my skin, so it doesn't really seem all that neutral to me. But then to finish it off, you do have a very light, pale kind of milk color. I would never use a matte color like that, so I had no idea how to use all three shadows. I started by applying the middle shade all through the crease and blending it out, but I had a hard time because it was so light. I had to layer the color so many times to get the pigment that I wanted. So that was a little bit disappointing, just not the right shade for my skin tone personally. And then I added the dark brown shadow on my bottom lash line, and I couldn't figure out how to use that really light milky matte. So I put the bottom color smoked out on my lash line. I tried to use that super light matte color on my brow bone to see if maybe that would just help as a transition color, but I would never really use that. So for me personally, there are just so many other beautiful matte shadows in the Kaja trios that I love that I would never reach for Neutral Moment anyways. So I'm definitely gonna pass this to a friend so that they can try it instead. Same thing with Velvet Dream, although I do like these tones a little bit more because they're warmer. The bottom shadow of Velvet Dream is a deep peachy brown. Love it, it's so beautiful. The middle shadow is a light medium peach matte, and the top shadow is a super light matte peach. Again, I just wouldn't know what to do with that really light matte color. And I already have so many warm matte browns in my eyeshadow collection already that it just doesn't make sense for me to own this. I just think that Velvet Dream and Neutral Moment could have been improved if instead of getting a super light matte shade, we could have gotten a glitter topper, and that would have been a much more cohesive look for me personally. Let's do Colourpop. I ended up buying a ton of shades on the Colourpop website that are all super similar, lots of peaches, rose gold, and bronzes, because I didn't see any YouTube video that really compared all of those different colors that look so similar. So hopefully this is helpful to you. And I will be swatching all of these side by side at the end if you want to understand the very subtle differences between the shades. We're going to start with Amaze, and Amaze is described as a peachy gold with multi-dimensional glitter. I find this one super smooth, really easy to build up, no fallout. I can definitely see the multi-dimensional glitter in the pan, but when it's swatched on my hand, I really just see gold flecks, which actually stands out because a lot of the other shadows have like violet and blue and pink glitter. This is the only one on my hand and on my eyes that looks like a peachy gold with gold glitter. It's the kind of shadow I reach for when I want to just look put together, something pretty natural that really brightens the eyes. But I wouldn't say that Amaze is the most unique shadow I've ever seen. I do think that you can probably find a dupe of this in your collection already. 2014 is described as a metallic warm beige with blue and silver pinpoints. This one's very similar to Amaze, but it's a little bit lighter and a little bit more yellow, whereas Amaze was a little bit more peachy. And it's hard to pick up on the blue and silver glitter on camera, but in person, you really can see that blue reflect coming through. And I find that to be so beautiful. I love wearing this eyeshadow with a little bit of like an electric blue eyeliner. I think it's so fun for the summertime. Because this is lighter, I definitely find it to be a little bit sheer, but it's really easy to build up, super smooth, zero fallout. Oh man, a little quirky. It's not just my favorite Colourpop Super Shock shadow, but top 3 favorite eyeshadows of all time. They describe it as a metallic bronze, but I would describe it as a metallic peachy bronze with lots of big glitter particles. And to me, it looks like the glitter particles are blue, even though I can't see that in the pan and they don't describe it that way. In person, it really does look like it has blue glitter, and that's why it's my favorite. It's just so beautiful when the base shadow contrasts with the glitter. It's like one of my favorite finishes ever, and I find that the glitter in this one is just a lot more impactful than the other Colourpop Super Shock shadows, which is why it is my all-time favorite. Abbott Kinney is another one from the LA collection, and it's described as a metallic deep bronze with blue and gold flecks. I just love when the glitter contrasts the base pigment. This one is so pretty to pop my eye color and define my eyes. It's perfect as a smoky shadow. And the base pigment in Abbott Kinney is so special. There's like a little bit of warmth to it, so it's got this rich chocolate quality. But looking at my hand, there's almost a plumminess to it and a rosiness to it that's so beautiful. And then when you contrast that with the blue and gold glitter, chef's kiss. Perfect eyeshadow. The shade Aster is described as a metallic taupe with silver pinpoints for fresh looks. I don't know why they had to throw that in there. I don't think I would describe this as a peachy taupe. It's more so, looking at my hand compared to everything else, it looks a little bit more like a pinky peach compared to shades like 2014 and Amaze. I don't love this one because it's so much more sheer than the other colors. So to get that base pigment, I really had to build it up. And that's when you kind of start getting a little bit of fallout. They're a lot better like rose gold shades. They're a lot better peaches. But when you do build it up, it is really pretty. Casual Friday is another favorite, and they describe it as a metallic, warm toned golden bronze. I would definitely agree with that. You can see it's got that beautiful, rich, warm gold quality coming through. It's pigmented, it's smooth, and I have minimal fallout with this. It's the kind of shadow I reach for in the spring and summer months when I want a really like rich, warm gold bronze eyeshadow, really bronzy skin, and like a brown or a nude glossy lip. So good. Lala is described as a true rose gold, and it really is. It's so smooth, it's highly pigmented. And so far, I would describe Lala and Casual Friday as more of a metallic versus a glitter formula. Low 70s is described as a metallic, warm, pinky rose gold. Compared next to Lala, I can see that it is definitely much more pink, a little bit lighter. To me, I don't really like this shadow because I find that I can pull off pinks when the pinks are really cool toned and a little bit icy. But when I wear warm pink eyeshadows, I just find that I end up looking a little bit sick. I look like my eyes are like inflamed, like I have really bad allergies. That's just my personal feeling. So low 70s is one that I'll be passing to a friend, but it's pigmented, really blendable, you know, great formula just like the others. The shade Sequin is described as an ultra glitter rosy penny copper. And I think that's a great description. It is highly pigmented. It's definitely deeper than a lot of the other shadows. A penny copper is the perfect way to describe it. It is exactly the color of a penny. And it looks like it has either copper reflex or gold reflex. I can't really tell, but it's another beautiful, super impactful metallic shadow. Lastly, we have another all-time favorite, which is Ritz, and they describe this as a sheer nude with silver glitter. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this one, but essentially there's no base pigment to this, just a really, really sheer light wash of like a peach or kind of a sheer yellowy peach base. And then you just get tons and tons and tons of silver glitter. Mine, unfortunately, as you can see in the footage, is really dry at this point. I've had this for several years, and the Colourpop Super Shock formulas do dry out, but for $6, it's really not that big of a deal to replace them. I don't personally like wearing Ritz on its own. I much prefer to put down some kind of color underneath and then pop Ritz on for like this ultra dramatic glitter topper. But I know a lot of my friends love to wear Ritz all over the lid, whack on some mascara, go for a bold lip, and you're good to go. It's definitely a classic for a reason. I'm not gonna leave you hanging. Let's do some arm swatches so you can see all the colors side by side. I'm gonna go out of order and try to arrange them by the colors that look the closest to each other. Well, the sun is totally gone and it's not even 4 p.m. Cool, cool. If you want to see more eye swatches, click this video for the best one and done shadows. I apply every single one. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up so I know to make more content like this. And if you made it this far, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.